We're going to talk about the state of the team 20 games in. Let's begin with Ben Rice. Let me get your thoughts on Ben Rice, TK.
He has been, I was talking a little bit with my dad about this, but he has been more than a pleasant surprise. He is totally kind of emerged as a legitimate major league bat. I think it's going to be fascinating when they get Stanton back off the IL, how they decide to handle that. Because if Derek, you've brought up the baseball savant numbers quite a lot, all the deep analytics, all the projectiles and all that. And I mean, the percentiles, the guy is in the red everywhere. He looks, if you blanked out his name and you just got the savant page up there, he looks like, a Kyle Tucker or a Corbin Carroll or somebody like that, like a real name in the game. And he has just been more than a pleasant surprise. And I don't know how the Yankees are going to handle it when Stanton gets back. You can say that, I guess they'll platoon sort of sit, like they'll put Stanton against lefties and right. But if he continues to hit like this, you cannot take his bat out of the lineup. You just can't. I don't know how you look at the fan base and you just tell Yankee fans who know their baseball, like, oh no, we're going to go with Stanton because he makes significantly more money. And look, I gave him his flowers. He's always a playoff performer, and I love Stanton. He's had awesome moments, but you just can't deny what Ben Rice is doing right now for this team. The guy just rakes. But I think Aaron Boone's quote about why he was batting him leadoff, and they were like, why are you batting him leadoff? He goes, he rakes, period.
Because he rakes. That's exactly how it's because he freaking rakes. Yeah, I mean, I'm loving what we're seeing from him. He has great at bats too. I asked Todd Frazier today. He was doing the broadcast tonight, but he was also on Foul Territory today. And we were the first two people in the production meeting this morning. And I said, Todd, as somebody who's around major league hitters and understands major league approaches at the plate, is what Ben Rice is doing for real? And he said, I'll tell you what, he has a really short path to the ball. Like, it's a really short swing, and that's a good thing. And, even some of the outs, like he cranked one to center field that got caught. He got robbed of the home run. Like, everything he hits, he destroys. That's, to me, been the biggest thing this season. He's basically been Juan Soto. I mean, you hate to say that. He's basically been budget Juan Soto. It's like, why didn't we re-sign Juan Soto? Cashman's like, well, we got Juan Soto at home with Ben Rice. Yeah.
That's why he's wearing the number. They gave him 22.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe it's maybe it's not the Indian, it's the arrow. It's number 22 on his back. That's called, it helped Cano. But Martian, what are your thoughts on Jason so far? Because obviously the defense was the biggest worry. I think he's been fine out there. I can think of one or two plays where he didn't look great, but he's made the catch. He's had a couple of snow cones. There was one that kind of hopped and, he didn't field it great. But the last few nights especially, I think he's made some tough plays. There was one a couple nights ago that had a 33% catch probability, and he made the catch. I think the arm looks really good and really accurate. He's playing with a lot of confidence, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him, and I think the more that I watch the games, the more that he's out there and left, the more like confident I feel with him out there. I think at the beginning of the season, you kind of hold your breath anytime a ball was hit out to him out there, but he's made a few really nice plays. The one that comes to mind specifically, Derek, was the one that he's like leaping, kind of like going back, like he jumped.
That was the one.
Yeah, that was a great play. And I think that you can see it. His confidence is really kind of growing. And I think the Yankees have kind of handled this perfectly because I think Kay had mentioned this on the broadcast, but you wanted to avoid like a Gary Sanchez kind of situation where you kind of crossed up his defense so much that it started to affect the offense. And this is a young player with really special tools. And he's an athlete, Derek. I think he's going to pick it up quickly. It's just like a matter of time, and it's just a matter of reps. You would like to see a little bit more from the right side, but I think, again, it's kind of coming along pretty nicely. But I think, Derek, the best quality, and I think you've mentioned this before about Jason, is his ability to learn quickly and his ability to develop very quickly, which is a great quality to have, especially for a young player. And that's not something that guys have. Like, sometimes it takes a guy quite a while to develop, or they're a late bloomer. I mean, for him, it really feels like in the 20 games, he almost feels like a different player from game 1 to game 20 now, where we are now. I feel a lot more comfortable with him out in left. I think they probably look at him being the permanent left fielder going forward. I don't know if they want to put him back in center eventually, but later in his career, I guess we'll see. But right now, I'm really liking what I'm seeing, Derek.
Yeah. Rotation. I mean, this is where it gets a little bit ugly. I mean, Rodon obviously had a good night tonight, but he's been kind of inconsistent. And I still don't trust him in a big game. He's too home run prone. Threw the ball well tonight. We'll give him his due. Max Fried has been worth every penny so far. But I have very, very little faith in Will Warren. I have very, very little faith in Carlos Carrasco. Even if they pitch well, like that's a nice surprise, right? It's like if you stop by a restaurant because you're starving and it just looks gross, and then you have something and hey, it's pretty good. That's kind of how I feel when those guys throw a good game. Hopefully Luis Gil comes back strong, but they had to push him back 10 days in his rehab, which is not typically a good sign. It means he's healing a little bit slower than they expected. So, I mean, where are you right now with the rotation? How are you feeling about it? Do you think that there's, any chance that we get Alcantara? I mean, I think we'd have to give up Lombard, and I don't think the Yankees want to do that.
I don't see Alcantara, or honestly, it's spelled Alcantara. I don't know why it's Alcantara.
But it's pronounced Alcantara. I got that wrong a bunch of times too.
I don't get it. But okay, the guy named Sandy down in Miami. He's a great pitcher. He's been kind of injury prone the last couple of years, but I don't think that they're going to get him. And I think that there's going to be I don't think the Yankees even have the assets to give up to get a Sandy Alcantara. George Lombard would have to be the conversation starter. And I'm not about to trade George Lombard Jr. when he's probably going to be the starting third baseman next year. And I feel pretty confident about that. So I am not interested. Just for that, am I interested? Yes, he's a great pitcher, but I'm not interested in giving up what it would mean to give up in order to acquire him. With the pitching, I'm kind of like survive until Gil gets back. I don't know what he's going to look like when he gets back. I'm not super concerned about the 10-day delay just because I think they're being ultra careful with him because the starting pitching rotation right now is in a fragile situation, and I don't think they want any setbacks with him, so they'd rather play it conservatively, and that's fine. But, you got Clark Schmidt back, and that's going to be helpful. You hope that Will Warren kind of continues to develop, and Cookie can kind of give you a nice solid start here and there. But that's asking a lot, obviously. Marcus Stroman, he got sent to the Sun. I put him on the Sun, Derek. He's on the Sun now, so that's it. Yeah. But that's all you can really hope for. I told you this, Derek, before the season started. Remember, I had a pretty nice prediction. I said, I think we should get Jazz Chisholm Jr. They get Jazz Chisholm Jr., and he seems to be like a great fit. He's not playing so well right now, but we'll get to that. I said my prediction for this year, if they get a starting pitcher at the deadline, is a Luis Severino reunion, which is what I was sort of seeing that. Signed, like, I think a 3-year deal in Oakland for about $22 a year. Sorry, Sacramento. But
actually, they don't even like to be called that. They're just the A's now.
The Athletics, or whatever the hell they are. But I would see that as a potential fit. He's obviously pitched in New York, and Derek, you remember this in like the 2017 kind of era. The guy is absolutely electric when he's on in the playoffs, especially. He's like screaming out there and stuff. It's like exactly what you want to see. The guy is so amped up all the time, and I think that he's kind of learned how to pitch more as an older pitcher now that he's been in the league a few years. So I definitely think that's more of a name I would be interested in. I think it would cost a lot less than getting a Sandy Alcantara myself. And I think that's probably a pretty good fit. I don't know what the A's would ask for in return, or if they're even going to be in it or selling or whatever, but I could see that as a fit.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's a great idea. Aaron Judge, I think we got to give some time to the captain here. The man is having an unbelievable year again. He didn't have such a hot night tonight, but, I mean, you're not going to get 3 hits every night. I'm going to pull up his stats real quick, and we can take a look at him because, I mean, he's just having another monster year. Stand by.
Rose and MLB The Show player, honestly.
Yeah, 384, 500 on-base percentage, Terrence. 7 home runs and 22 RBIs in 20 games. He's on pace for over 162 RBIs. this season. He's averaging more than one a game, and that's just bonkers, bonkers numbers for Aaron Judge. I mean, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Okay, you got to clip the wire or it blows up. Win a Triple Crown, yes or no? You clip the green wire for yes, the red wire for no. Which one you clipping?
I'm saying Triple Crown, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and agree with you. I think he's going to do it this year. And I still think he's going to make a run at 70 too, because he hasn't really even started hitting home runs again after that initial onslaught. It's going to happen. We've seen him hit 15 in a month. And once Bellinger starts hitting, we get a little bit more pop in the middle of the lineup. Maybe Stanton comes back. I think that they're going to have to pitch to him more.
Yeah, I was going to say, Derek, I'd say the only player in the American League that's a legitimate threat to the Triple Crown, or the only other player in the American League that's a threat, I guess, to win MVP is Bobby Witt Jr., and that's the only guy in the American League that I can really think of. But yeah, I think that even that fly ball he hit to center, I thought that was gone when he first hit it off the bat. I thought that was way out, and then
I think the wind was blowing in. Yeah, wind was blowing in today. So for all of the talk about this being a launching pad, the last two nights I feel like the wind has kind of played some tricks. Last night you saw guys drifting. Tonight you just saw some balls get flat out creamed. I thought that Rice ball was going 10 feet further than it did. Okay, so Volpe. I want to get your thoughts on Volpe, but just my quick thoughts are obviously outstanding defender. And I think he's probably the best shortstop other than maybe Bobby Witt defensively in the American League. But his offense worries me. I've been telling you, and I've been telling my audience, I think he's taking the wrong approach, and I think that pitchers can beat his approach. You and I have discussed the player archetypes. I'd love for you to dive a little bit more into that. I communicated the other day that I felt like his archetype was more like Dustin Pedroia, which is something we've talked about. So maybe you can explain it a little bit better than I can.
Oh, no, he's definitely the player that he was, Derek, at the beginning of last year is the player that I think the Yankees are hoping for him to become and for him to be. And it just seems like I think that his rookie year, he hit – how many homers did he hit his rookie year? But he hit
21.
Quite a few.
He hit 21
home runs. He hit 21 home runs as a rookie, and I feel like that kind of maybe got in his head a little bit. Because it's a considerable amount for a player of his stature, if you will. But he's a guy that's got to be going gap to gap. He's got to be, doubles and walks machine is what I want from Anthony Volpe. And because he's got speed, if he was doing that consistently, you could theoretically lead him off. But if he's going to be a doubles machine with speed, you could put him in the middle of the lineup, in the 7 hole, in the 5 hole, wherever he's at, 6 hole. But with him, it's frustrating, man, because right now he's like an Andrelton Simmons. Do you remember Derek and Andrelton Simmons?
Oh, yeah, Simmons? I remember Andrelton Simmons.
Elite glove with Atlanta for years. I think with Anaheim for a little bit.
And Brian Cashman always wanted Andrelton Simmons. Yeah. Always wanted him.
Always. So he was an elite glove with Atlanta and Anaheim, for those of you who don't remember. But the guy just couldn't really hit. He was consistently a 9-hole hitter for basically his entire career. But man, could he pick it at short. And Volpe, 2 sparkler plays tonight, especially throwing the guy out at third. I mean, that was huge. That might have saved them from going into extras or losing the game right there. But his approach is frustrating, and he is sort of, I guess, streaky. And I think with him, fans have this kind of preconceived notion of he was going to be the next Derek Jeter, not because of the player that he was in high school or the player that he was in the minor leagues, but just because of grew up in New Jersey as a Yankee fan, idolizing Derek Jeter and that kind of whole thing. And I think that, and then also the Yankees kind of raised the stakes on his expectations when they said no to Luis Castillo for trading him to Cincinnati. Agreed. And that really kind of raised the stakes even more of this guy better pan out, basically.
Am I imagining this, or did Oakland want him for Matt Olson also?
I feel like I remember hearing something. There were multiple teams that wanted him for a significant return that the Yankees would have gotten. A Matt Olson, a Luis Castillo, anybody like that. And the fact that the Yankees were basically saying, no, this is the shortstop of the future, I think in a lot of fans' minds, adding the whole kind of hometown grew up a fan element, Derek. I think that just kind of snowballed into this guy better become the next Jeter. And there's not a lot of guys that are Derek Jeter. There just aren't. And it's not that he is a bad player. He's an elite defender, but his offense is, I think, you would like to see more than you have. I don't know if you ever will see more. Maybe this is what he is. Maybe he is a 220, 230, 15 home run guy with elite defense. I hope not. I feel like I've seen stretches of him, Derek, in the pros, like in the majors, going back to last year at the beginning of the year, where he's been a really solid bat, but you don't see that enough for me to feel confident that that's who he is.
I'm going to pull up Corey Seager. This is somebody that the Yankees passed on because they had Volpe coming up. So since signing with Texas, he has averaged 25 home runs and 65 RBIs per season. He hit 245 his first year, but then 327, 278, and 306. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the World Series MVP in 2023.
Yes.
So
a huge.
Yeah, against the D-backs. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah. So good player. Jazz appealed his suspension. What are your thoughts on Jazz? I feel like he's a fun player, but he's almost. I saw a description one time: all trim and no stash. Or all something like that. Like it was something like that where it's like not really a cowboy, but looks the part. He's a flashy player. Old school guys would call him a hot dog. I think he's fun. I like him. I think he's a solid defender. I love his arm. I love his athleticism. I want him also to get away from the home run or nothing approach because I think there's a lot more in there as a player. I'd be satisfied if he hit less home runs and hit more doubles and triples and used his speed and was just a more exciting, distracting player.
Yeah, I think the word you were looking for probably is like a pest. Like Volpe and Jazz both pests up the middle, right? Like especially offensively. But I love Jazz. Jazz is my guy. I remember watching Jazz. I was living in Miami one summer, going to Marlins game, watching Jazz, watching him come up, and then him being randomly the cover of the MLB The Show game one year with the Marlins. But he's a little frustrating just because he is kind of that all or nothing approach. It's not that he doesn't have the power, but I think that he doesn't really need to go all or nothing for him to get it out, especially in Yankee Stadium with the short porch. I think he can probably have a couple wall scrapers that go out. But yeah, he's a flashy guy. And I think that for the Yankee traditionalist, it's like very much the opposite of what they have seen in their lives as fans. He's got like the anime elbow guard that's like yellow and red and the green belt. And it's like a little out there, but I'm cool with it, man. I mean, I think the Yankees kind of needed a little bit of that kind of swag, if you will, last year, especially. I think they needed a little bit of that kind of in their clubhouse, an irritant, if you will. I think every team kind of needs their irritant, and they tried it with Josh Donaldson, but he's like kind of get off my lawn a little bit kind of guy. And he's just kind of annoying. I think the players like Jazz a lot more because he's funny.
This is an interesting comment. This is from Yankees for the Win. He says, I don't care for Jazz. As Dickie V once said, he's all airport team, which means he looks good walking to the airport. But once he got on the basketball court, he couldn't play a lick. Yikes. That's a tough one, but that's pretty funny. I got to admit. Dickie V, one of a kind. Jazz, obviously we want more production out of him, but I do think that up the middle we've got a really solid defensive squad right now, from catcher straight on through to center field. Let's talk about plan B, which was Max Fried, Belli, and Goldy. Right now I think it's working better than plan A, which would have been to re-sign Juan Soto. I think the team is deeper, and even though Belli hasn't gotten going yet offensively, I mean, we saw the catch the other night. There's no way Juan Soto catches that. He's had some big moments. He had that big 451-foot home run in his second game of the season. I think once he kind of gets back on track, we're going to see a lot more of that. He's still got the pop in his bat. And Goldy, I mean, the guy's hitting, 373 now? I mean, he's not hitting for a lot of power, but he's doing exactly what I want him to do, which is create base runners, hit line drives, move runners, get runners in. I think he's going to drive in a lot of runs, TK, because he's going to come up in those situations with guys on third, less than 2 outs. And unlike the guys in the past, like Luke Voigt, who are just trying to mash the ball out of the ballpark in that situation, he's content to hit the ball to the right side or get the run in with a fly ball or whatever. I love Goldy. as a player. I admit that I didn't consider him strongly enough because I just looked at the numbers last year as a whole. I didn't really consider the splits as much. I made the mistake they were talking about on the broadcast, where you look at a guy whose numbers went down and you say, well, he's 37. What do you expect? And so I wasn't thinking that it would get better, but it has.
Yeah, I've been really pleased. Obvious upgrade over Anthony Rizzo at first. It's just plain and simple. There's no arguing it. I think it's a good veteran presence to have again in the clubhouse. He's a guy who's won an MVP. He's been a really good player his entire career. He's been around the game for a long time. And I'll just highlight this play, Derek. The play tonight where he got the guy at third on a rundown. Where he kind of that's just a veteran baseball IQ play.
Heads up play.
Heads up play right there. Huge out at third to get the second out there of the inning. And then I think the guy ended up at second. But like now you're an out away, right? Instead of having a guy right at third. So that kind of stuff is just something that's a little bit of like an intangible. It's something that the analytics won't show you. Just those little plays here and there, which has been big. And yeah, his bat, you can't ask for much better from him. I guess I will a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more power, but I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing so far. I think the homers will come. I think 20 home runs from him this season is very doable. If he gets hot, I think that it's very doable. And yeah, he's been great at first defensively. A couple nice scoops tonight, a couple nights ago as well. And personally, they've let him off a couple times. I don't hate it because he gets on base a lot because he's hitting really well right now. But I like him a lot in like the 5-hole, Derek, with some traffic on the bases.
Yeah,
he kind of like, like you said, is content of getting the bloop single or the double in the gap or whatever. And you want to get that traffic going around the bases, right? So I like him a lot in the 5-hole.
Let's talk a little bit about a guy who early on in the season made our stomachs churn, and that is Devin Williams, who has appeared to have locked it in over the last couple of times. Are we still feeling confident about D. Will?
Yeah, I'm feeling confident just because if you look at his history with his numbers month to month, he usually is pretty rough March, April, and then he improves as the season goes along. I don't like this narrative of the Mets broke him last year in the playoffs. I mean, just stop yourself. Like if that went like another inch further down on the bat, it's foul. So sometimes baseball's like that. They call football a game of inches. Baseball's kind of a game of inches too. But I'm not worried about him because he's looked better also in his recent outings. And the Yankees also have 2 closers on their team. Not a lot of teams have that.
True.
Where it's almost like if Devin Williams doesn't pan out, I am totally cool with having pitch the 8th and have Weaver close.
And on a night like tonight, where you want to give him the night off, Weaver comes in, and he was dominant. That's the best we've seen Weaver this year. He's thrown 95, hot, at the top of the zone. Hey, that's what you want from him. Yeah. TK, I mean, where do we stand right now? Before the season, we said over under 90 wins. It was 90.5 wins, and I think we both took the under. I'm taking the over now. I'm switching my vote. I mean, Frankie, don't change it in the official thing, but I feel like we're trending better than I thought.
I feel like I took the over. Frankie's gonna have to confirm that for me. I thought I had taken the over, but like 91 wins or something like that. But yeah, they're playing well, man. I like what I'm seeing. The Detroit series was ugly, but it's freezing. You're not supposed to play baseball in that weather. I just gotta like baseball. You gotta like let it go. You gotta like let it go and kind of see what you have. I'm not gonna have like a legitimate, real opinion with actual evidence on this Yankee team until probably around my birthday, which is mid-June. Then I kind of have a feel for who's having a good year, who's not having a good year, what's a legitimate need. Just for you guys in the chat, around that time, mid-June, late June, that's when Derek and I will start discussing like trade deadline things about like who we think the Yankees should get and like what's a fit and stuff like that.
Wait a second. Who's making the schedule here? I'm going to start talking about it way sooner than that. Tune into Pinstripe Territory all season long. We'll be talking about it tomorrow. Fucking
I'm
Jesus
talking about
Christ.
you. I'm talking about more so like you and I will like text back and forth about like, this is. Oh, I had the under apparently. But like in terms of who's kind of out of it, I think that's when the trade market really starts to shape up, and it's when you get a feel for like who's for real and who's not.
Yeah. So Frankie Baseball says that all of us had under 90.5 wins for the Yankees.
I've been so wrong in my whole life.
Well, hopefully they do better than that.